Do you ever feel stuck in a never-ending cycle of anxiety? I've been there too. But a powerful Catholic devotion changed everything for me. After 9 years of struggling with anxiety, this devotion helped me to find peace and to start reclaiming my life again. In this video, I'll share how this devotion helped me and how it can help you too. Just a quick word before I get started. This particular devotion really helped me a lot, and I really believe it can help other people too who are dealing with anxiety. That said though, if you're struggling with really severe stress or anxiety, I really do encourage you to seek support from a mental health professional as well. When I first came back to the Catholic Church after more than 15 years, I came back with some baggage in the form of anxiety. Now, I had actually been on medication for quite a few years, and I had also gone through about 5 years of cognitive therapy. And yet, in spite of all that, I still would experience anxiety pretty regularly. And one of the main symptoms were panic attacks in various situations. So these would often hit me when I was traveling in a car or when I was in crowded public places like stores, restaurants, theaters, even just on a busy street. And I would just start to feel really overwhelmed by all the stimuli around me and would start to feel really trapped and confined. And then I would start to panic. These feelings of panic would rise up inside me, and I would just be desperate to get out of that situation. If I was out somewhere and I started to feel the panic coming on, I would, if at all possible, try to leave the situation. And on top of that, I found myself going out of my way to avoid a lot of situations that could possibly trigger panic because I was so afraid of getting a panic attack when I was out in public or in one of these situations. And in addition to the panic attacks, I was also really frequently experiencing this really disturbing symptom known as depersonalization, which made me feel like I was actually physically disconnected from my body, almost like I was floating above my body and outside of it. And this feeling was just absolutely terrifying to me. Even going to Mass was challenging for me. While I would often find a sense of peace when I was praying in an empty church, when I was at Mass and there were a lot of people around, I would again start to feel that very confined sort of feeling. And as a result of that, I often found it really hard to even sit through Mass. Now, during the years that I was going through therapy, I had learned that if I could just learn to accept the feelings instead of fighting them, that they would go away much more quickly, and that I would be able to get past them and I would be able to start to really recover from this anxiety disorder. But in my case, I was really struggling and I had not been able to really accept the feelings. I would just continue to fight them and resist them because I was just so terrified of feeling them. I just wanted to avoid them at all costs. And as a result, I was just completely stuck in this cycle of anxiety. Around the same time I returned to the Catholic Church, I developed an interest in the Divine Mercy devotion. I had been reading about the history of the devotion and about St. Faustina, who brought the devotion to the world, and I felt really very drawn to it. And I was especially captivated by the Divine Mercy image and the words that are printed on it. Jesus, I trust in you. And these words had a really profound impact on me, and it occurred to me that if only I could really believe in those words, if I could truly put all my trust in Christ and truly believe in Him, that I would be able to start to heal from the anxiety. Then on Divine Mercy Sunday, the first Divine Mercy Sunday after I came back to the church, I went to Mass that day and went to receive communion, and I returned and knelt in the pew. And I focused my attention on the Divine Mercy image, which was displayed on an easel to the right of the altar. And I started to really focus on that and on the words, "Jesus, I trust in you." I was very familiar with this image because my mom actually had a framed image of it in the house. But now I studied it, and almost like I was really seeing it for the first time, seeing it through new eyes. What happened next is really difficult to describe. It was like I had this kind of visualization that came into my mind, and I visualized Jesus standing before me, dressed in white and with his eyes just filled of love and kindness. And there were rays of light were pouring forth from his heart. And I actually had the sense that these rays of light were pouring over me, kind of feeling like sunlight pouring over my face and my head and down. And I actually felt a warmth come over me, like there was this warm, healing light that was comforting me and calming my mind. And while I was bathed in this light, I felt the depth of his love for me, and I knew without a doubt that he would help me, that he would heal me, if only I could put my trust in him. After I had that experience, something truly remarkable happened. Although my anxiety didn't just magically disappear, I suddenly found myself much better able to cope with the symptoms of anxiety. When I felt my anxiety start to rise, instead of fighting it, I surrendered myself to Jesus, and I just continued to say the words, "Jesus, I trust in you." And I would just repeat those words to myself and trust that he would give me the strength to get through the experience. And as time went on, something really amazing happened, and it was that many of the situations that used to trigger panic attacks in me no longer did. I was able to go into these situations and feel much more comfortable and finally start to really enjoy the experiences much more now. And to this day, when I feel my anxiety flare up, I continue to surrender to Jesus and repeat the words, "Jesus, I trust in you." And that really helps me to get through it. The Divine Mercy devotion is associated with many graces and healings, and I truly believe that given my experience with this devotion. If you're dealing with anxiety and you want to try this devotion, here's an easy way to start. Learn about the history of the devotion. I firmly believe that it's really important to kind of understand the history of a particular devotion and what it means and why, as Catholics, we do it. And I just feel that having some sort of foundation or context really makes the devotion so much more meaningful. The next thing I really recommend is getting a copy of the Divine Mercy image. It could be an actual physical copy, or it could also be a digital copy that you save on your phone. Once you have that image, spend a few minutes with that image every day, meditating on the words, "Jesus, I trust in you." During that time, offer all your worries and all your fears and stresses up to Christ, and ask him to help you to better cope with the symptoms of anxiety. I believe it's really important to spend time with this image and to put your trust in Christ every day if possible, because doing this frequently, it'll start to become more habitual, and you'll be able to internalize the words, "Jesus, I trust in you," and they'll start to come to mind much more easily when you're experiencing symptoms of anxiety. Anytime during the day when you feel anxiety flare up, surrender yourself to Christ and repeat the words, "Jesus, I trust in you." And say those words as many times as you need until the feelings start to subside. The more that you put your faith and trust in Christ, the more He'll be able to help you get through this really difficult time. If you want more faith-based ways to cope with anxiety, I've created a playlist of other videos related to anxiety that I've linked to the end of this one. I hope and pray that you find peace and healing in Christ's love.